Hi creatives, and welcome back to Agency Academy. I'm so happy to see you back, and I hope that you've been enjoying the last couple episodes that we produced. Today I want to talk about Pinterest, and Pinterest specifically for getting more traffic to your website and more leads, so more clients essentially for your business. I know that marketing can feel quite intimidating, and I'm a person who's quite introverted, so I really like any marketing tactic that I don't have to go network in person. So I think Pinterest has been so helpful. It's been one of those things that has really helped me drive a ton of consistent traffic to our website. And with social media, there's so much effort to kind of have to always keep up more and more posts, creating content, and all these things. So Pinterest is great because one, people come there to find inspiration anyway. So they're already primed to kind of be looking for the type of content that you produce. And two, it's a lot more of a demographic that has spending power. So people who come to Pinterest, they tend to have a higher income, they tend to be a little bit older than on places like, let's say, Instagram or Snapchat, for example. So it's actually a really good primer to the types of people who could afford your services. Third, it's also a place that the pins have such a much higher lifespan than what a typical social media post has. So if you look at platforms like, let's say, Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, the lifespan of one of your posts is actually only between a couple minutes and maybe if you're lucky, a couple hours. But on Pinterest, you actually have sometimes, like I have one pin that has been doing so well, and it's been going for a year and a half driving traffic to our website. And it's just because as people find your pin, like it, and pin it to their own boards, then it keeps showing that to their followers and it keeps showing to the algorithm that the content is worth keeping high up and visible. So as soon as you start getting some traction for one of your pins, it has a much longer lifespan, it can keep driving traffic to your website, and it's a thing that will just keep generating value for you without you putting in extra effort. The last reason to use Pinterest is you can direct link to your website or to your blog. And with things like Instagram, you have to always rely on people going to your profile, going to your description and clicking there to go to your website. And in this case, you can actually then target, so each post can have a link that's relevant specifically to the content that you're posting about. So not only are people more likely to click and they get straight to your website, but also it's relevant for them, it's custom. So it means that the content that they're seeing is matching their expectations much better, and they're more likely to trust you, trust your brand, and want to reach out and do some sort of work with you. So where should you start? I think the first thing to do is, when you create an account, go to your profile and make sure that the information in your profile is really representative of your brand. So make sure you put your logo in the profile picture, add your website, and add a description that really shows your kind of value proposition. So this can be the same as you've got on, your header of your website, something like a 1 to 2 sentence thing that describes how you help your customers, what value you add. And it can even be something like the type of pins that you create, so people know that if they follow you, they'll get this type of content, which is really cool. The next thing you want to do is create something like, I suggest 5 to 10 boards. And these are boards that you should name them something that feels really interesting to your target demographic. And also things that you can produce really high quality, consistent content on. So let's say you're doing branding or illustration or graphic design in general. You can create one that might be things like curated logos, or you could do things like stylescapes or mood boards, or you can do, for example, Color Crush, where you collect different color palettes. So anything that you feel like you can keep up producing content on, and that is also appealing to your ideal customer, that's the type of thing you want to create boards for. I suggest 5 to 10 because it feels substantial enough for someone to want to follow you, but it's also not where you have to spread yourself too thin and you have like only 3 pins in each board, for example. So what should you actually create for your pins? So the first thing I would suggest is, as a designer, you already have the edge. You already have lots of these beautiful portfolio pieces that you've put lots of time and effort in. So try to produce things like work from your portfolio. And here, if let's say you have a case study with 6 different photos, you can make that into, let's say, 10 different pins by putting each of the photos as its own pin, and then using combinations of images to create new pins. And don't be afraid to feel like you are duplicating content, because most of the time no one really sees the pin, and then sometimes someone finds it and they love it and they pin it and it starts taking off. So if you feel like actually this one looks really good to this one, you're combining different ones, you can try out different copy with them, different titles. Sometimes you can put different quotes or testimonials that your customers have put in. So finding these ways to combine your beautiful portfolio graphics with let's say testimonials or other things that strengthen your brand can be a really good idea. Another type of content that you can produce is linked to your blog posts. So this is great for driving traffic to your website, because you're not only showing like a pretty picture, but you're also showing actual tips. So I'll put some up on the screen right now, where you can see examples of how they've put like a nice appealing image, some sort of benefit you get from reading the blog post, and then a call to action. So like learn more, read this now, or find out more. Some nice call to action that you feel is really helping people engage with your content. So the size of content that you're supposed to produce is of course up to you, but if you want to look at the statistics, the ideal size for a pin is a little bit taller than it is wide. So a dimension of 2 to 3. So 2 to 3, so this dimension here. When you look at how often to pin, this is where I would really take the data with a grain of salt, because the ideal number of times to post a day is 15 times a day, which no, we're not doing that. I mean, you might be doing that, but I would go insane. I think you would have no time for anything else if you're a solopreneur or if you're a small team. Like, there's no way to produce that much content. So I found that producing something like 2 to 5 pins a week of your own content is a great start, and it will get you really far. You can then of course go in and pin other people's content, but you want to find that good ratio between your content and other people's content, so that you drive enough traffic to your boards, they have enough content and updates to them that people find it interesting to follow you. But at the same time, it's not just other people's stuff, because then you get no clicks to your own content. One thing that's really good, because you're starting with another social media platform, and I know how this can feel kind of time consuming, energy sucking, really do consider getting some sort of social media scheduling tool. So I know that Hootsuite, for example, has Pinterest scheduling. So then you can just go in, put in all of the bulk content that you created, all of your social media posts, you can put them in and put the dates, so that, let's say 5 times a week, there's a Pinterest post posted to your different boards. And that way you only really have to spend like half an hour every week of putting it in, and then it's done for you. And it keeps driving traffic to your blog or your website, which is really helpful. So don't try to do it all yourself manually, you'll go insane, and especially if you try to do it 15 times a week. Great, so now we have lots of people coming to your website, and now we really want to make sure that we're turning those warm leads into some sort of communication, some sort of a little bit more of a relationship with them, so that they can then become your clients. And I think the easiest way to do this is to build up your email list. And so you can either embed, like subscribe to our newsletter, or join our family, something like that, on your blog. So if you're driving traffic to your blog or portfolio, you can put that in there. But you can of course also create some sort of lead magnet. So a lead magnet is a resource where, let's say you do branding like me, then I, for example, have created one where you get 5 different steps. So 1 step each day. It's a little mini course where if you sign up to our newsletter, you get that. So each day in the mail, you get 1 mail about how to go through the different steps of branding, and how to kind of take your brand from just a logo to a full-fledged brand. So you can create something like that, a little lead magnet. It can be a PDF download, a little mini course, or just something that they get to sign up for your newsletter or just go on your email list. And you can create unique pins for this. And here's an example of a really great one. I think that the thing that you really want to consider, again, it's similar to when you're driving traffic to your blog. You really want to focus on an appealing image that's going to stand out on Pinterest. So you can do a little bit of research into the type of graphics that other people or designers are using to drive traffic to a similar lead magnet. And then once you have the visual that you want, you can then focus on the different benefits. So what will people get from signing up to this lead magnet? Awesome. So now we have lots of content, we have a strategy, we've got our boards, we're driving traffic, we're capturing through email chains. So the last thing I want to cover is just to talk about how to get more exposure of your pins. Because as we're creating all this content, some of them are going to do great, some of them are really going to get like 0 views, and it's a little bit discouraging. So here are a couple of my favorite tips for making sure that your pins get noticed. So the first one is, of course, to use really great visuals. The second one is to actually use hashtags, because Pinterest does use hashtags as a way for people to search and discover new pins. Sometimes they give you suggestions, or you can look for what kind of hashtags other popular pins are using, and you can mix it up and try different ones, and it's just another way to experiment with what works best for you. Another option is if you want people to pin your content that isn't even on your Pinterest boards but just from your website, you can install the Pinterest plugin on your website. So that is, if you've gone to a website you've seen before, where there's like, when you hover over an image, there's like this little icon on it that says pin it, that's what that is. And so that can be a really good way for you to get other people to do work for you and get more exposure for your content. The last thing is you can even use your whole kind of lifestyle brand or your personal brand to try to get people interested in the type of content that interests you. So let's say you have people on your Instagram or other platforms that follow you because they're interested in your process, they're interested in your work, they really like you, or they like the type of work that you do. Then you can do things like promote one of your boards saying, here's the type of stuff that is inspiring me right now in my design career. And that can be a great way to get lots of people's eyes on your different boards. And once they've seen one of your boards with some of your content driving traffic to your website, they might also check out some of your other boards. And that is just a great feedback loop for you to get more eyes and more attention on your content. I hope you found this really helpful. I really love talking about how to help you kind of grow your own business and how to get out of that sometimes mindset of, oh, I don't want to go networking, or I feel a little stuck in my business. So I think another one of our videos you would love, if you enjoyed this one, is the how to create proposals that sell. So turning someone who's a lead into a client and an ongoing relationship. And so I'll give you a little preview of that one. I'll put the video right here, and I'll see you next time. Today we're going to be talking about creating really good proposals that turn your leads that you have into actual clients and people that keep coming back and appreciate you and want to pay you for your great services. I actually created a template that you can just grab